The unspoken request. It happens in a quiet circle. Heads bowed, hands folded, a soft pause where everyone waits. Then someone clears their throat and says one word, unspoken. It sounds humble, safe, and spiritual. But it can also feel like a locked door in a room where honesty is the whole point. Some people mean, I am hurting and I cannot explain it yet. Others mean, I do not want questions and I do not want change. There is a real debate here, and it matters. One Christian writer argues the unspoken request is often sincere, a way to ask for help when words feel impossible. Another church blog argues the habit can become harmful when it turns into hiding, because shared prayer can require clarity and confession. Even the Bible idea of help can include both. Privacy for pain and light for healing. The avoidance pattern shows up when unspoken becomes a shield. It can protect secret habits, secret fights, secret spending, secret flirting, all while still collecting sympathy. It can also train a group to stop asking loving questions because everyone fears being judgmental. So the person stays stuck and the group stays polite. The room feels holy, but nothing is actually being carried together. A healthier version sounds like this. I can't share details, but I want to be known, and I want to change. That one line opens the door to follow up, even if it is gentle and slow, because prayer is not meant to be an escape hatch from truth. It is meant to be a doorway into it. And doors only work when somebody chooses to open them. Pray for so-and-so. As gossip, it starts as concern and ends as a story. Pray for Olivia and Liam. Something is going on. Then come the details that were not needed, the guesses that are not confirmed, and the tone that says, you'll never believe this. Some leaders warn that prayer chains and request times can become a pipeline for sinful gossip because we pass news from sinner to sinner. The room gets quiet, and the damage spreads quietly too. The hard part is that prayer is good and caring is real. But one article about resisting gossip offers a simple filter before sharing any request. Check your facts, check your role, check your audience, and check your heart. It even warns not to pass hearsay, not to share juicy details, and not to treat confidential pain like public content. That is not cold, it is careful. Avoiding accountability looks like this. You feel powerful because you are in the know, but you never actually help. You say you are asking for prayer, but you are really building a case against someone who is not in the room. You feel righteous because you use soft words. And if someone challenges you, you can hide behind the holy cover. I'm just asking people to pray. Some ministries explicitly call this manipulative. If you want to keep prayer pure, try this. Speak less, love more, and name your role honestly. If the person asks for privacy, protect it. If you are not part of the solution, do not become part of the rumor. And if you feel excited to share the news, that is a warning light, not a green light. If this has happened to you, tell your story in the comments with care and kindness. Pray God changes my spouse. Blameshifting. It sounds painful. Please pray for my marriage. And that can be real, but then the request turns sharp. Pray God fixes him. Pray God stops her. Pray they finally learn. The words are spiritual, yet the heart is pointed outward. The hidden message is simple. I am the victim and the problem is them. It gathers comfort without asking for courage. It asks for heaven to do the work while the person stays the same. Sometimes the request is true. A spouse can be cruel, unsafe, or unfaithful, but even then accountability still matters. You may need help, safety, and wise support, not just a softer spouse. And if the marriage is not dangerous, the question becomes harder. What part do I play in this pattern? What am I feeding with my words, my tone, my silence, my pride? Prayer is not a spotlight meant only for the other person. The dodge happens when the request removes names like anger, control, flirting, lying, or neglect, and replaces them with foggy labels like hard-hearted and spiritual warfare. Fog keeps you from repenting because you never have to be specific. It also keeps the group from helping because nobody knows what to ask. The request becomes a weekly ritual, a loop that protects resentment. Everyone prays, and the marriage still rots in the dark. A cleaner prayer request sounds like a mirror. Pray I speak truth without cruelty. Pray I listen before I defend. Pray I stop blaming and start owning. That kind of request can still include grief, and it can still include boundaries, but it refuses the cheap comfort of being right, because in a marriage, being right is not the same as being whole, and wholeness always starts with the person in the mirror. Pray for my situation. The safe fog. It is a familiar line. I just have a lot going on, so pray for my situation. Nobody wants to pry, so the group nods. The request feels humble and it keeps the mood calm, but it can also become the perfect hiding place. Situation can mean anything. Debt, addiction, cheating, lies, bitterness, or a decision you already made. When the words stay vague, the person stays protected. Not from shame, but from change. Sometimes vagueness is wise. Not every detail belongs in public. Not every group is safe. And not everyone is ready. But accountability is not the same as oversharing. You can be clear without being graphic. You can ask for prayer and still name the real category. Fear, anger, temptation, conflict, or consequences. Vague requests can be a starting point, but they become a problem when they turn into a lifestyle. The avoidance pattern is when my situation becomes a wall. It blocks follow-up because anyone who asks sounds rude. It blocks support because nobody knows the need. It blocks repentance because the sin stays unnamed. And it blocks growth because the person learns a trick. They can look spiritual without getting real. The group feels like it did something, but it only touched the surface of a deep wound. If you want prayer to help, try giving one honest handle. I'm anxious about money. I'm tempted to lie. I need courage to apologize. That is enough for real prayer, and it opens a path for real steps. Fog feels safe, but fog is where people get lost. Clarity is scary at first, then it becomes a lamp in your hand. Pray I don't get caught. Consequences as persecution. This request rarely comes out in plain words. It usually wears a costume. Pray my boss gets off my back. Pray the police leave me alone. Pray my spouse stops asking questions. The tone is fear, but the fear is not always about danger. Sometimes it is fear of exposure. The person wants the storm to pass, but the storm is not random. The storm is the natural result of choices they will not name. Accountability sounds like, I did wrong and I need help to face it. Avoidance sounds like, people are against me and I need prayer to survive them. The first leads to wisdom. The second feeds pride. It treats consequences like persecution, and it turns correction into an enemy. It also recruits God as a shield, as if prayer is a way to block justice, not become the kind of person who can stand in truth. The misuse gets darker when the person starts collecting spiritual language to stay unchanged. The devil is attacking me. Hatred is coming against me. Maybe, but sometimes the attack is a spouse asking for honesty, a friend asking for boundaries, or a leader asking for repentance. When prayer becomes a way to dodge truth, it trains the heart to hate the light. And when the light feels like danger, healing feels like death. A better prayer is still urgent, but it is clean. Pray I tell the truth. Pray I accept the cost. Pray I make it right. That is not weak, that is brave. Because real faith does not only ask God to remove pain, real faith asks God to remove lies. If you have ever seen this pattern up close, leave a thoughtful note in the comments so others feel less alone. Pray for my finances. No plan, no truth. Money requests can be honest. Layoffs happen, sickness happens, bills pile up fast. But sometimes the request becomes a soft way to avoid hard questions. Pray for my finances can mean pray for a miracle. While the person keeps spending like nothing matters, it can mean pray I get a raise while they ignore their budget. It can mean pray I catch a break while they refuse to admit they made risky choices. The warning sign is repetition without movement. The same request every month, the same panic every week, the same God will provide while the same habits eat the paycheck. Accountability does not mean shame. It means truth plus steps. It can include learning, asking for help, and making a plan. It can include saying, I don't understand money and I need guidance. That request is humble because it admits reality. Avoidance looks like spiritual cover for denial. The person may use faith words to silence wise advice. They might reject simple questions as judgment. They might make the group feel guilty for asking about work, debt, gambling, hidden subscriptions, or secret giving meant to impress. The request gathers comfort, but it does not build maturity. And if the group only prays but never helps with next steps, the cycle stays strong. A better request is still simple. Pray for provision and pray I become faithful with what I have. That invites both mercy and change because sometimes the miracle is not extra money. Sometimes the miracle is new self-control. Prayer can open doors, but it can also open spreadsheets, apologies, and tough choices. If you want this channel to handle money topics carefully, say so in the comments. Pray for my calling. Destiny as a hiding place. Some people carry real dreams, missions, ministry, writing, music, teaching. So they ask, pray for my calling. It sounds like faith, it sounds like vision, but it can also become a mask. Because calling can feel bigger than daily obedience. It can make ordinary work feel small. It can turn patience into delay and delay into comfort. The person stays in the idea of purpose while avoiding the cost of growth. A calling is not only a spotlight, it is also a broom. It is learning to show up, to serve, to be on time, to listen, to take correction, to finish what you start. If God is guiding you, He can guide you in small things too. The problem is when calling becomes a spiritual excuse for not getting help, not learning skills, not making amends, not being faithful at home, or not staying humble in community. Avoidance sounds like the people don't understand me. Leaders are holding me back. I just need one big break. And that may be true sometimes, but it can also be pride in costume. The request asks God to open doors, while the person refuses the doors that are already open. They want the stage, not the process. They want the title, not the training. And they want prayer without responsibility. A healthier prayer request says, pray I become ready. Ready to serve, ready to learn, ready to submit, ready to wait, because real calling does not crush character. It builds it. If you have ever watched someone chase destiny while skipping obedience, share a calm thought in the comments so we can learn together. Pray for my healing while I refuse help. Pray for my healing. It can be a hospital bed, a long illness, a deep sadness, a mind that feels heavy every morning. People should pray. People should care. But sometimes healing becomes a hiding place too. The person asks for a miracle while refusing every wise step that could help. They want God's hand, but not God's guidance. And they want comfort without change. Faith and help can belong in the same room. A person can pray and also see a doctor. Pray and also talk to a counselor. Pray and also take a break, eat better, sleep, tell the truth, leave an unsafe place, or stop feeding an addiction. Healing is not always instant. Sometimes it is slow. Sometimes it is a long road with boring steps. The problem is not prayer. The problem is using prayer to avoid the road. Avoidance looks like rejecting all responsibility. I've tried nothing, but I'm still suffering. Or, if I take steps, it means I don't trust God. That is a trap. It turns wisdom into unbelief, and it turns passivity into holiness. And then the person stays stuck, not because God is far, but because pride is close. Healing asks for humility. It asks for help. It asks for a willingness to do the next right thing. A better request is honest and open. Pray for my healing, and pray I accept the help God sends. Because sometimes the answer to prayer arrives in human hands. Hard conversations, new habits, and safe community. And sometimes the bravest miracle is not a sudden change. It is a person finally stepping into the light and staying there. In the end, prayer requests reveal what we love. Some of us love comfort more than truth. Some of us love being seen as spiritual more than being healed. But God does not shame us for being weak. He invites us to be honest. The most powerful prayer request is not the most dramatic one. It is the one that tells the truth and welcomes change. If you like our content, consider subscribing. Or some topics didn't made in the list or topics that you want us to feature, please leave in the comments.